We are live.
Okay, thank you very much, Hollis. Welcome, everyone, to our meeting this evening, Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, regular board meeting, February 24th, 2022. We'll just thank everybody for coming tonight. I believe we have a quorum. Audit, you confirm that we have a quorum?
I have missing John Craig, Bonnie Morris, Sheena Young, Brad Henderson, and I have Annette in as an alternate.
There's Brad coming on.
So Annette, you can sit at the table if you like.
Thank you, Claudette. We'll consider we have a quorum. Do I have any conflict of interest declarations by anyone on the board tonight? You've all had a chance to review the agenda. If there are no questions or questions on the adoption of the agenda, and it's okay the way it's presented, could I have someone move that the agenda be adopted as presented?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you, Annette. All those in favor signify by remaining silent. Anyone opposed? I say so now. Okay, thank you. The minutes of January 27, 2021. If you've all had a chance to review those, could I have someone move that they be adopted as presented? Thank you, Glenn. Seconder. Wayne, I see your hand up. Is that okay? All those in favor of adopting the minutes of January 27, 2021 as presented, please signify saying aye by remaining silent. If you don't hands up. Okay, anyone opposed can say so now. Okay, thank you. The minutes are adopted as presented. We'll turn into business arising from previous minutes. World's oldest basketball court support letter, Hollis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to have that on the agenda as a note to let everybody know that I sent it out as requested from last meeting as presented. That was it.
Okay, any questions to Hollis on that one? Okay, thank you. The RCMP special meeting has been delayed until March. Once we get a firm date on that, we'll notify everyone on that meeting. Local governance reform update. I think there's one item there, Hollis.
Yep, and I put in the package an extra page, and I'll probably make this kind of a permanent fixture going forward, just about where we are with our transition to the new version of Regional Service Commission. I forwarded the message from yesterday as soon as I got it that we do have a new transition facilitator. His name escapes me now. Anyway, Ken Anthony, right. So he was the CAO of Woodstock. From what I have heard, he was there a couple of years. So he did a good, I'm not sure why he's not there anymore, unless he just retired. But I haven't talked to him or spoken to him or been in contact with him. You folks know as much as I do about Mr. Anthony. Other stuff that's been happening, the Community Inclusion Network. I had another meeting today with our provincial working group on that. That's progressed very well. I think it's going to be a fairly smooth transition. So that will be, vibrant communities will be more or less absorbed by Regional Service Commission. And the intention there is that their board of directors will end up becoming a committee, an advisory committee to this board for that piece of business that we will be taking on. I will be at some point this year advertising for the position. They do have a director in there now. and he's more than welcome to apply for the position, but I do need to make it a public competition for that position. Economic development. So there's a couple different ways this can go. And I've been trying to get a good handle on it. And I've had discussions with a couple of different groups that are already within our region. I want to play to our strengths here. There's a lot of work being done now that I think we can kind of enhance. So instead of working against what's already happened in the region, I think we can work with it. But there's more to come on that. Transportation is another one of our new mandates, but that will end up falling under the community development piece as well. They already are in that space in transportation within the region. On public transportation, they support dial-a-ride and things like that. So hopefully the intention is that with the adoption of Vibrance and the enhancements that we're going to bring as Regional Service Commission by taking on a lot of their administrative functions and things like that, they'll have more bandwidth to be able to do even more work in the transportation space. So that's the hope there. Tourism promotion, that's yet to be determined where we're going to go with that. I've got a couple of ideas, but they're too new to even really talk about yet. Recreation we're already doing, as you know. In fact, I got invited to a provincial thing on next Monday or Tuesday, along with Sherry Stewart, and they want us to talk to them about how we did it here so that the rest of the province can kind of take notes on what happened here. So a couple of other things that I need to talk about with our transition facilitator and the province is that the boundary changes and how that affects our garbage. It's not really about the garbage itself. It doesn't matter if we lose some garbage, that's okay. It's more about the waste reduction, the recycling program. So one possible scenario, if Manor Sutton and Harvey end up taking their solid waste to Fredericton Regional Service Commission and Musquash ends up bringing their waste to us, we may have a method of where we can pick up the recycling bins at the end of this year on their last recycling day and then be able to clean them up, pressure wash them, and redistribute them to Musquash. That's one possible scenario. Not really sure how it's going to play out yet. I've also been in talks with the transition leader, the provincial transition leader and provincial planning director about the new entities being formed, and that we are ready, willing, and able to become their planning department and help out in that aspect. I know there's going to be a lot of work to do, especially a brand new municipality formed out of the pro Musquash. So we'll see where that ends up, but we're more than capable of taking that one on. So I just made sure the province was aware of that so that their transition folks down there can be aware of that as well. And that's where we are at the moment.
Thanks, Hollis. Any questions?
Yeah, Hollis, listen, gentlemen, and we talked to the government about all the coming down to the landfill here from Manor Sutton and the village of Harvey, and I think probably a little more. And they haven't said no, and they haven't really said yes, but they seem to be leaning that way more than to allow us to do that. So hopefully we'll have an answer for you pretty soon. We're trying to put the push on them now to tell us what's going to go on, what's happening. And as soon as we get an answer, we'll let you know.
That'd be great.
Sorry.
No, I like to have a lot of these answers or a lot of these questions answered by, well, I'm shooting for October 1st to have things in place and questions answered, because I think the last quarter of this year is going to be a little bit chaotic and, with municipal elections and everything else. So, no, that'd be great. The sooner the better we can get an answer.
Wade, you had a question?
Yeah, just the Hollis on the like the job you said you're advertising stuff for these director positions and things like that. Who's determining the one, the job description, two, the compensation package? and stuff for them? Is this something we're doing local? Is this something that the government standardized?
Well, this one in particular is an existing position already being filled by Vibrant Communities, and the funding for that also comes from ESIC as well. So I don't think the salary would change. The compensation package that they're already doing, like, I don't think that's going to change at all.
Well, I just be worried about us accepting that, however it is now. And then later on, when it does become us, the government can change the funding model, and then we're stuck with what we're stuck with, right? So.
Well, Wade, you actually raised a good point, and a couple of discussions I've had, and it's not just about this, but about economic development and any other new mandates that we have.
Yep.
Fact of the matter is, we're legislated to do this stuff. Where the money
Yeah,
comes
I know.
from, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, I know they're legislating you to do it, and this is the most I guess sensible thing, because there's already an entity there and they're already performing, a lot of the services, and we can change our mandate some as once we're providing oversight of them. But like I say, I just worry that, unless whoever the transition team is that's working with you for this transition stops and reviews the Vibrant Communities things, what the funding model is, how much each person is getting paid, what the staffing is, and say, does it make sense that we take that over wholesale, or does it make sense that we revamp it a bit in the transition process? And then you might be able to go back as part of the transition process and say to the government, we want to tweak this a little bit.
Yep. In this particular case, it's one staff member, and that's what they provide funding for. It's pretty well established. So if there are additional, and he has talked about some additional projects that they do, but they're always fully funded by they wouldn't come out of RSC pockets for anything additional they do. It comes from other pockets of money around the province. But the deal with ESIC is that, the reason they're transitioning to us is to maintain some consistency. And the plan is to continue that. I mean, I'm going to encourage the current person, certainly to apply, but it has to be a public competition because we are a publicly funded entity and this is public money as well. So, we have to do this in a fair and open manner. The actual job description has yet to be determined. It's going to be close to what's happening now, I would think. But I haven't received the full verbiage of what, their expectations are, because any money you get from anybody, ESIC included, is going to have strings attached, right? So I have to follow a little bit about what they're doing, but is definitely something that, you and I, the committee is going to have to talk about, because, we are going to be expanding, a couple of people here.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yeah, John?
I'm following up on the point that Hollis raised, that the RSC has a legislative mandate to actually do certain extra mandates as a result of this Bill 82. But it does not specify yet who is going to fund this. I was wondering if now is the time to actually ask or lobby or mention the fact that this is the kind of things that possibly can be covered by the regulations. And if there is an avenue to actually do that, how we'll do it?
Don't know that you would get funding sources in regulations. I haven't seen it before, but it's entirely possible. The regulations are another one that nobody can give me an answer on when we're getting them, and it's going to be more than one. So it is a good point, John. It's certainly something that every executive director has been asking of every transition team. So you want us to do the stuff, where is the money? And every board, every regional service commission board has been asking the exact same question. So it's not, it's nothing we're not already pursuing. I just don't have answers yet.
I have asked the same question to our facilitator, and he promised me that he will get back to us as to what the regulations are going to be about, and if we're going to have an opportunity to actually input. So we're on the same boat.
Yep.
Okay, no other questions, comments? Thank you, Hollis, appreciate it. Anything else under business arising from previous minutes that we've not covered? Okay, new business. Did you want to bring something up there, John?
Yes, this is fairly new to me, and I believe there is a bit of a window of opportunity that we can try to do something. There is a Bill 75, which has gone through 2 readings, has gone through the standing committee, I think it's economic development, and it's a proposed amendments to the Mining Act. And I just want to actually spend 2 minutes to tell you what are the amendments. There are 2 very brief amendments. The first one makes essentially an allowable way to stake mineral claims using mapping and GPS, which brings change the ball game a bit, that you don't have the old type of prospector with his hammer and his tags going around and putting some tags on the trees. Now a company can actually stake huge blocks of land without any effort to delineate their areas that perhaps they should not be going. And such areas include things like the main street of a town, or, for example, a farm where there are outbuildings and electrical lines running between buildings. The second part, the second amendment in the Mining Act, is one which makes essentially the word that they're using is called a person holding the famous prospectus auger does not, by legislation, can cause what they call interference. Interference is a term that is used in the Mining Act to define activities for which the landowner can seek some form of a compensation. And in my particular experience, that was one of the provisions that as a landowner had used in the past, because I have a farm, I have outbuildings, I have subsurface drainage, I have oil lines running between buildings. And I said, listen, if you're going to come and do any sort of that kind of prospecting on my land, we better sit down and you tell me exactly what you're going to be sampling, et cetera, et cetera. The same thing applies when we move it into the residential setting of essentially not allowing any sort of a buffer area between what is a place where they can go and do this activity and where the homeowners type of use and enjoyment ends or starts. In general, in other jurisdictions, they don't allow prospectors to come in a residential area within a certain radius. Now, I was speaking with a couple of parties. One of them was the New Brunswick Farm Alliance, and I learned that they have not been consulted and they're opposing the legislation. I have sent a similar communication to UMNB to find out if UMNB has been consulted, and I have not heard back from them. But I know that when the thing is going to come to the third reading, there would be at least one party that will ask for a 6 months deferment of the third vote to allow for the consultation that has not happened. I know that St. George has a problem with mineral claims inside the municipality. I know St. Stephen also has mineral claims who go inside the municipality. And I believe there is some opportunity here to actually raise some concerns before this thing is enacted. And I'm hoping that we can actually have a Hollis or someone else to actually take on this role and contact the minister to find out how can possibly have an input to this process with regards to municipal concerns. And that's it from me. I just want if anybody wants to comment on that.
Okay. Anybody want to make a comment or on that? Like I only saw it, John, or I guess it was earlier today. I saw it, what you had written there, and I've not had time to even have a look at it in any depth. I read the documentation you had there, but I haven't had a chance to read into depth any research on that topic. I see Alan's not on the screen there right now. Maybe if Wade, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I haven't read Bill 75, same as you, but I mean, if it's, I think the way it is now is extremely invasive. And, I think when you put your rural plans in, the rural plans should override some of this stuff when it comes to where you can and can't develop, where you can and can't disturb things. So yeah, there probably needs to be some clarification in this. This is like anything else. I don't know who's driving it, but it's certainly not the public that's driving it. It's industry driving this. And, probably won't be anything you can do about it. But other than raising Cain and putting it out there in the public and getting it in the media and in the newspapers and stuff so that the MLAs get shit on, that's the only way you're going to influence anything here. The minister's not going to listen. So just
Thanks,
my
Wade.
opinion.
Alan, do you have any mineral claims that you're aware of within the village boundary?
Not that I know of any. No, I'm not sure. I haven't done any homework on this at all.
Okay. I must admit, I'm not aware of any in my
No.
community either.
Well, you should look at the Clarence Stream project, because the Clarence Stream project is all around us. It's like it's just everywhere.
Exactly. It goes all the way inside St. Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm aware. Oh, go ahead, Alan.
Is this federally regulated, not provincially?
It's provincially regulated up to the point where the mining company decides, or a mining company decides to set up a mine, in which case there is an EA and there is a big federal component. But the licensing of mineral exploration is wholly a provincial thing. And one thing that I would like to mention, which I did not, because it's not something new, but was existing also in the old legislation, is that when it comes to liability, these companies operate with a very minimal insurance. I know that a company was called Fundy Gold, who had like a huge claim in Southwest New Brunswick. I don't know how many, 70,000 hectares. Or they operated with about 3 million liability insurance, which is about the same insurance that I grow garlic have for running my business. And there is like, we demand from people who drive to have an insurance of a certain level. There are some questions to be asked, and I believe that as a group, we should actually at least raising the question. I'm hoping that the UMNB is well within their scope, and maybe that is the venue that we should be pushing it. But we should, if they're going to actually defer the third reading just because there are several parties that they have raised the issue of no consultation. I know that the New Brunswick Agriculture Alliance has raised the issue that we have not been consulted and we oppose it. So we as a group of municipalities will have an obligation and opportunity to actually make a statement and raise our concerns. How we're going to do it, I think it's up to this table to actually decide.
Just to add on, just to add on to that. So in St. Andrews, I haven't had any residents that have had any concerns, but I have heard stories. I've had an individual that it was outside of St. Stephen municipal limits, but it was in the rural area where they were trying to sell their property, their land, and there was mining activity, a claim put on it, and it was to the point where the person buying it did not want to buy it because of what was happening. And that was my actually first experience of even being aware that someone can just do that to your own land. I understand you don't own what's under it, but I was blown away at how evasive it could be. So if anything, I haven't got any input from my council on this, but I would very much welcome the province before they vote for a third reading to come and give us an information session and at least explain to us, what was it and where are they going with it? And just because, to be honest, I think the general public is relatively uneducated when it comes to this issue. I wouldn't have known if that individual didn't tell me the story about selling their land.
So those mining claims, we had one here at the landfill last year. They expire at the end of the year, and it's fairly common for people. I have one at my house too. It's a fairly normal thing, but this is a new procedure, I guess, or a change to the legislation that Mayor Dederakis is talking about. So, yeah, but yeah, no, the landfill actually had a claim last year on it for mineral.
So I think what I'm hearing is that there's not a lot of knowledge around the table on this. I think what I would like to do, Hollis, if you don't mind, I'd like to have the planning department have a look into this and then potentially educate us on it at our next meeting. And I guess, yeah, I think that's what we need to do, is educate ourselves on this. If we can, if they get that deferral on the third reading by 6 months, when was that third reading planned for, John?
It comes in about 3.5 weeks. I was talking to an MLA in Fredericton and basically told me that has been set up with 3.5 weeks ahead. I know there will be a motion on the third reading to defer for 6 months to address the lack of consultation. I want to actually, yeah, if it's going to be deferred, that's going to give us quite a lot of time to actually do something about it. The thing that the mayor of St. Andrews brought is a real issue, and in fact, when I had to face the mining commissioner, I raised it. The fact that if you have two identical properties and one has a claim and the other one does not have a claim, the one that has a claim gets a penalty, either on the price or on the price, because if you have two identical apples and one has a claim and the other one does not have, you're gonna pay more for the one that does not have or less for the one that has a claim. And that is the one that the industry resists a lot, but is a reality. And we should at least raise the issue, because when you get that claim, you have an obligation to disclose it. You have an obligation to disclose it to your bank, to your real estate agent, to the buyer who comes to you. So there are some concerns that as a owner of the property inside the municipality or outside has to face. So it would have been nice if we have a point person within the commission, our service commission, who can actually do some of this running. And I would strongly encourage everybody to read that letter that I have sent to the leaders of all the parties about some potentially positive improvements that can minimize the conflict between landowners and mineral companies, because fundamentally there is a big power imbalance. You have like the province and a corporation knocking at the door of a landowner, and there is a huge imbalance there that is behind a lot of the bad feelings and the stresses that they are created.
Okay, John, thank you. Sam, you had a question? Comment?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. It probably is an issue that people should be concerned with. I'm not sure it's this commission's business until you get some clarification from land planning, but just a couple of points. I keep hearing the speaker refer to municipalities in this commission. I would remind them that LSDs are still a part of this commission, and we would like to be referred to that way. if you don't mind. The second point is that this business of land being worth more or less, if the act permits these people to stake a claim anywhere, then it doesn't make any difference whether there's a claim on it today and I buy it free of a claim, then tomorrow they can still put a claim on it. So I'm not sure how much, what the impact is there. It sounds like the act allows anybody to put a claim anywhere. So the fact that they put a claim on my property today, you know, a prospective buyer might look at that and say, well, gee, I don't want a piece of land with a claim on it. But if there's no claim on it, you can buy it and they can still come along and put a claim on it 3 months after he buys it. So that's just the only points that I have to make, I guess. But remember, there's still 9 LSDs as part of this service commission. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. I think what we'll do then is we'll turn that over to the planning department. They can do a little research into it and kind of give us some information on it. Even if the RSC really doesn't have anything particular to do with this, it would be good if we educate ourselves on how we might answer the public if they ask us on it.
For sure.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, on that one. Anything else under new business I'd like to bring up? Okay. We'll move then into committee and staff reports. We'll begin with the executive director's report. Paulus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A little bit short this month, but in solid waste, we started off our year as normal. There's no significant change to the amount of waste. There was a big concern with the vaccination requirement for truckers and we did have a bit of a scare that Monday morning when no American truck showed up. But our American friends solved it themselves. There's a transfer station over there. They're actually gathering a bunch of stuff for our big customer over there, and they bring over a single tractor trailer of combined loads. They solved it because they had to solve it, and the rest of them eventually found drivers that could pass the requirements and cross the border. So end result was that we lost nothing. Claudette did a comparison of year over year totals, and so we lost no USA waste. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful that our American customers thought enough of us to not seek out different solutions. So that was good. In our planning department, has not slowed down even a little bit. We had record year last year, blew, previous year out of water, and that year was a record year as well. And if things keep going the way they are, I don't see any change at all. So, that's good and bad, but we're able to manage. What we are doing there to is making things more efficient within the department. So I have now they had lots of spreadsheets and things like that to track the progress, because it's fairly complicated when somebody puts in a building permit application. There's a whole lot of people and steps and things that has to go through. So now we have a database up and running. We're just working the bugs out of it now, but it appears to be, it's going to be extremely helpful, and it'll be available to building inspectors in the field, so they can see the status of any open permit. And then the very next step, which is not going to be in the too far future, is going to be an online application, and that application will be available from a cell phone or computer or wherever you are for building permits. And then that has an automated flow to it, which means that it's not getting printed, put in a physical folder, handed off to people physically. So it's just like electronic medical records, the same thing, electronic building inspection records. So that's where we're going with that. That should be in place very near future as well. We're taking this thing one step at a time, adding one piece as we go, working the bugs out of that, and then adding the next. And that's the methodology we're using to put this in place. I think that it's really going to help that department a lot, considering all the growth they've had, and will probably continue to have, and just to make things a lot more efficient use of time. For instance, if a building inspector is in a particular area of the region, they can go online and look to see if there's anything else that's open within that region. If they're in, St. Andrews, they can look to see if there's anything else close to that region just by looking up, and you can filter by area and then pick that up instead of having to drive back to the office and see what else was missed. So it's just going to, as we move along, take a little bit of adoption by the crew, but I think they're all up for it. We've had lots of talk about it, so I think that's really going to help that department. Some other news. We're doing a couple of updates out here at the scale house. The actual reader for our scale is the original from 1997. And one of the problems we have is our software dates back to that time as well. It was written by a single source. And that reader connects through a serial port, which is something that hasn't been used on computers in a number of years. So we are updating that to a new version, and then a different piece of software, which is close to what we use now, but is better supported. I have concerns about our current provider not being there in the near future. So I just want to make sure that those things are alleviated. Claudette is actually heading up that project. And then the other thing we're getting going on is the basement of 33 Wall Street. We are going to do some fairly light renovations there so we can accommodate more office space there for the anticipated new people staffing that we're going to have. So that's going to start in the near future. And the other thing that is not in the report that I sent you, because I just found out about today, and many of you probably know this already, but all COVID restrictions in the province are going to be lifted as of March 14th. Therefore, our March board meeting can be in the boardroom here at Hemlock Knoll. Zoom is still always going to be an option because there's still going to be people, I'm thinking of Graham and Ann, I'm thinking of, Harvey there in camp. Like it's a long drive sometimes. Maybe the weather is terrible. Maybe you just don't feel like driving. That's fine. But Zoom is always going to be an option, but starting, at our next board meeting, it will be a no restrictions kind of thing. And that means that we're going to start planning our AGM, which is April, to be like it used to be from 2019 and before then. So that's our plan going forward. And that is my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Hollis. Anybody have any questions or comments on Hollis's report? No? Okay, thank you. Next one is the Health Planning Committee report. Alan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So our committee met with, we had a presentation from Steve Botman there our last meeting. And I'm not sure if we probably told the board, we did another one 2 weeks prior to that with Elizabeth in Nova Scotia. So we're kind of gathering information and ideas and those sorts of things, just educating ourselves. I also have been in discussions with Hollis there. We're looking at getting some information so we can properly figure out how do we want to move forward as a board. We got to know what our role is. We got to know what the numbers are for the PRAC numbers, those sort of things, if they're still using them or what their system they're using, those sorts of things. We're looking at putting once we find out these numbers, maybe some sort of a business plan together on how we can move forward. And again, find out what our role is as a regional service commission. And let's see, did I miss anything? No, I mean that's about it right now. Like I said, we're just gathering, getting our heads around the whole system and trying to figure it out. That's okay. And again, that's about it up to this date.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Any questions, comments for Alan? No?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Quick one for Alan, and I quickly tried to look up the gentleman's name. There's a gentleman that used to work for the St. John Hospital Foundation, and he now is going to raise money for scholarships, and basically the goal is to recruit doctors to the province. I can't remember his name. I don't know if it comes to your mind, Mayor McEachern. But nonetheless,
Doherty?
What is it?
I think it's Doherty. Shoot.
I can't even picture the logo on it. Anyway, my question is this group
Dan.
that is this group is reaching out to municipalities and other communities and looking for like assistance to help this grant opportunity to help recruit. My question is, has just for education for myself, has that group ever reached out to try to help the challenges in St. Stephen around recruiting doctors? Because to me, that's the ultimate test is we need doctors in the region. Are they helping us, or are they just looking for money?
Well, it's a very long down the road help, but it definitely would help if we do get someone here that's local, because they are committed if with their scholarship to work in this area. So there is a policy in place that they have to work or buy it out, I believe. But so yeah, I mean it can help, but is it going to be our savior? No, it's I don't think so. But I think what we did talk to, I think it's Dan Doherty for some reason, something like that. Anyways,
I feel like Darren's his name for some reason.
Oh, Darren. Yeah. No, that sounds right. I could find it. Anyways, the other thing is, I don't think like I think I brought this up. Like one municipality trying to foot that bill is quite a bit. I think it should be a joint effort on that as well. And we pick scholars every year or something. I don't.
It's Darren McLeod. He's the executive director of the New Brunswick Medical Education. So he is not like they've been raising this money for a while, saying that they're educating doctors and they're going to work in community. So, but he's been no assistance. Is that safe to say in actually the recruitment process for the region? Because that to me is the true indicator when he's reaching out to our communities looking for funds. We have gaps, and he's, no disrespect to him, but his organization is nowhere to be seen, is what I'm just wondering.
Yeah, they're not recruiters. He's just helping the process by providing the physicians after they get educated through our system, and that's it. Yeah, he wouldn't be involved. I mean, he would be connected, but he's not. Recruiting's not his job.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good question, Brad. Thank you. Okay, if there are no other questions.
Mr. Chair, I see a hand up there, Mayor Duckratis.
Oh, sorry, John.
Yeah, I just want to actually add that to the fact that one of the things that I hope we can get out of that committee is some specific recommendations to the government on things that we came across that will require action now, not 3 years from now, or not waiting for some sort of a committee to actually report back. Billing is one of the issues that right now occupies our attention. You probably seen the news today about something happening in Sussex where apparently the billing system did not work well, but billing system is one of the hurdles that we have heard as one of the reasons for which we are handicapped in attracting doctors. So I'm hoping that as a board, we will actually come out with some concrete recommendations to the government, as here is the reason why we are falling behind. That's all.
Thank you, John. Okay, if there's no other comments, questions, we'll turn it over to the Finance and Audit Committee report, and that's Winston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On February 14th, we had a meeting with the staff from T. Saunders and Doyle, and the committee met with the audit team on February 14th to kick off this year's audit and review the audit plan. The initial part of the meeting excluded Southern New Brunswick staff. Now, we asked them to have it before the board meeting, wasn't it? Before the annual board meeting, so that we could get it out to people and, so they get to have a look at it and their comments on it. And as we also have to send out to communities, I think, for,
Has to go out to the councils.
yeah, so. Anyway, that was all that we spent an hour or so talking.
No, they were gonna try and get it in by our next board meeting.
Yeah, next board meeting, yeah, 24, so we could have it for the annual meeting.
Any questions, comments for Winston on that? Okay, pretty straightforward. Final thing on the committee and staff reports is the financial report, and that's follows.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've included our January income summary, just so you can see where we are. We're still, first of the year, we always end up doing all the year-end stuff, so I don't have a comprehensive financial statement at the end of January ever. But there's what it means there, that by net income at the bottom is surplus. So that's more or less where we're sitting for surplus for the month of January. I don't have much more to say.
You've all had a chance. If you've all had a chance to review those numbers, any questions for Halls? No yellow hands up. I'm learning to check for yellow hands up on the screens. Okay. Date and time for the next scheduled meeting is 24th of March, 2022 at 6 p.m. And Hollis, do we have any questions or comments from the public?
No, Mr. Chair, we don't.
Okay, thank you very much.
Wait.
Oh, sorry, Wade, yeah.
Just wanted to, I got 3 people have already sent me back the little executive director assessments. Want to say I really appreciate that. If everybody can try to get those back to me here within the next few weeks, that would be great. So I can schedule an HR committee meeting and we can review them. So thank you.
Good, thanks, Wade.
Wade, when did you send that email?
Hollis would have sent it out.
It would have been with your board package that I sent for this meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the attachments.
Oh, that's why I missed it. Okay, I see it there now. Thank you. Sorry, Wade.
Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. If we could have someone move to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Dennis, thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good night. Good night.
Dennis, that's a bit for Darren for this.
Oh, I know.
Is there a way to go over there?
For Darren, that's a for Darren.